Hey there. Ever catch yourself daydreaming? Like, what's life going to look like in 2030?
Yeah.
Or not alone. We're diving into some seriously cool predictions about 2030. Think like a sneak peek into the future.
Right.
Utopia. Just an upgrade. Let's find out.
And like any good sneak peek, it's not just about the shiny new stuff, but like what it all means for us, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so this prediction thing we found, it starts with waking up in 2030. Get this, no more, like, annoying alarm clocks.
Oh, tell me more.
Instead, picture a bed, right, with sensors in it to decide the best time to gently wake you up
Really?
by actually analyzing your sleep.
It's like having a personal sleep coach, constantly monitoring your sleep cycles and like nudging you awake when you're most refreshed. That's kind of neat.
But wouldn't it be strange, well, to have your bed tracking all that data? What happens to all that
Oh,
data?
sure, yeah.
Could mattress companies be like, let's get them with extra comfy beds, but, play on their sleep anxieties kind of thing?
That's the thing, isn't it? The tech itself is really interesting, but it's those implications, intended or not, that really matter.
For sure. Okay, you're up, hopefully well rested, and what's next? Personalized news feeds, not just chosen by an algorithm, but by AI that's supposed to really get you.
Yeah, that's the dream, right? No more sifting through irrelevant stuff. Just the news you need and want tailored to you.
Sounds good, but what about bias? Imagine if you only see news that reinforces what you already believe. Could it make us even more divided?
Oh, absolutely. That's the potential downside of any echo chamber, whether it's built by algorithms or just like our own choices. It's on us to make sure we're getting information from lots of different sources.
Totally. Okay, back to 2030. You're ready for breakfast, and bam, your kitchen. It's already made a healthy, locally sourced meal, thanks to things like those vertical farms and crazy efficient delivery.
It's really wild to think about how tech could change how we experience food.
Yeah.
Fresher ingredients, way less waste, and maybe even more time for actually enjoying our meals.
Sounds amazing. But it also makes you think, what happens to those local farmers markets if everyone's getting their food this way? Trade-off, right?
For sure. Convenience versus tradition, tech versus nature. It's like these are the tensions we're probably going to face more and more.
Speaking of trade-offs, how about commuting? This prediction says no more cars in city centers. Instead, we've got self-driving electric cars, perfectly planned routes, no more traffic jams. Are we there yet?
Just imagine quieter streets, cleaner air, maybe even getting some of that concrete jungle back for parks and stuff.
Amazing for the environment, but what about the people who drive for a living? What happens to taxi drivers, delivery drivers? Their jobs would be totally different.
Absolutely. And how do we make sure these new systems are actually affordable and easy for everyone to use, not just a select few? It's way more than just swapping out cars, it's a whole societal shift.
Right. Like those self-driving cars, they'd need big-time infrastructure changes. Our source also mentioned things like crazy fast trains and hyperloops between cities, even across the country. Imagine hopping on a train for lunch in another state.
Yeah, and potentially way better for the environment, especially if it's all powered by renewable energy. But again, it comes down to access and equity.
So much to consider. You listening out there. What would your ideal commute look like? What parts of this 2030 thing really speak to you? Let us know. But for now, we're stepping into the workplace. And get this, it's going to look really different.
All right, get this. You're not just working from home, you're working in actual virtual reality.
Okay, I've heard of VR meetings and all, but they're still kind of glitchy, right?
Yeah.
Are we talking like really feeling like you're in the room, even if you're miles away?
That's the goal. The tech is supposed to be so real you wouldn't be able to tell who's actually there and who's
Yeah.
just virtually there.
Whoa, that's wild. But honestly, I kind of like working in my PJs some days. Would this mean everyone feels like they got to dress up, even if it's just an avatar?
Yeah, it makes you wonder about all that stuff, right? Work-life balance, what's like appropriate online, even what counts as professional anymore. It'd be a whole new set of
And
rules.
let's be real, not everyone's going to have that kind of tech just lying around. What about those who can't afford the latest VR thingamagic? They fall behind.
That's always the worry, that digital divide. Tech can either make things fairer or it can make those gaps even worse.
Totally. Okay, so we're in this VR office, maybe in our pajamas, maybe not. But what are we actually doing all day? The prediction mentioned AI coworkers taking care of all the boring stuff.
Think about it. AI assistants handling your schedule, entering data, maybe even answering some emails. It frees you up for the more creative stuff, the strategic thinking.
Okay, that actually sounds pretty sweet. You know those days when you're stuck on hold forever or drowning in paperwork?
Mm.
An AI handling that would be amazing.
Exactly. We could ditch the dull stuff and focus on things that are more, well, human.
But, and there's got to be a but, what happens to all the people whose jobs are those routine tasks? That's a lot of people out of work.
It's a huge concern. And it's why people are talking more and more about retraining, learning new skills, maybe even something like universal basic income. It's a big deal.
It's like tech is making us rethink everything, not just how we work, but the whole system. Wow.
Exactly. And it shows how connected all this stuff is. We're not just talking about gadgets, but how they change society as a whole.
That reminds me, the prediction mentioned brand new jobs popping up too, like get ready for this AI ethics specialist.
Makes sense, right? As AI gets more powerful, we need people making sure it's used for good. We'll also need people who get digital well-being, virtual world design. Heck, even space tourism guides if those predictions about space travel are right.
Career day just got a whole lot more interesting. It's exciting, but also a little scary, you know? What skills matter most in that world? What can we do now to get ready? So many questions.
And while we're asking questions, I'm curious about our listeners. If you could invent your dream job in this 2030 world, what would it be? Let us know.
Okay, let's switch gears to healthcare. This prediction says it's all about prevention and personalized treatment. Sign me up.
Imagine if healthcare was proactive. Instead of treating you when you're already sick, it's about catching things early, staying ahead of the game.
Okay, how does that actually work?
Think about those wearable fitness trackers, but way more advanced. Sensors tracking your heartbeat, sleep, even your blood sugar and exposure to, like, pollution, all in real time.
So it's like a 24/7 checkup? That's intense. But I guess if it keeps you healthy.
That's the whole point. All that data means we can spot problems early and tailor treatments to you. Imagine your doctor knowing you're getting a cold before you even feel it.
No more dragging yourself to work when you're about to cough up a lung. I can get behind that.
Exactly. And based on your health and all that data, your doctor could suggest lifestyle changes, foods to eat, maybe even meds that are just right for you.
Okay, that does sound good. No more one-size-fits-all medicine. But does that mean, like, doctors are out of a job? Are we just going to be taking orders from, some algorithm?
That's a good question. And it makes you think about the bigger picture, right? Like, what's tech's role in all this? In this 2030 prediction, doctors are still around, but their job is different.
Different how?
Less like fixing you when you're broken, more like a health coach, I guess. Interpreting all that data, helping you make choices, giving you support, that kind of thing.
So it's more like human expertise meets AI smarts. That's better. I don't think I'm ready to trust a robot with my health just yet.
I hear you. And it's not just about, like, physical health. Mental health is a big deal in this 2030 vision, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What?
What's that look like? I feel like we could all use some extra mental health support these days. Future or no future.
Totally. The prediction talks about AI therapy platforms available all the time, mindfulness apps that are, like, designed just for you, even VR experiences that help with stress and anxiety.
VR therapy. Not sure about that. Part of me likes the idea of talking to a, actual human therapist.
It goes back to that balance we keep talking about, right? Where does tech help us and where does it, like, take over too much?
Exactly. It's about tech making us stronger, not making us more isolated. Speaking of stronger, this prediction isn't all work and no fun, is it? What's leisure time look like in 2030?
Get ready to have some fun. Imagine traveling to the other side of the world from your living room with, like, super realistic VR tourism.
Okay, now that's something I can get behind. I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights, but plane tickets, ouch. But wouldn't it feel kind of, I don't know, empty? Like, I'm sure the VR is cool, but it's not the same as actually being there,
That's the question, right? Can virtual reality ever really capture what it feels like to experience something for real? Or is it, like, a good option for people who can't travel as much as they'd like to?
True. It's not about replacing real life. It's about making sure everyone has a chance to experience things in whatever way works for them. What about entertainment? Anything crazy there?
Oh, tons. Imagine holographic concerts where you feel like you're right there on stage, immersive video games that are almost like real life, even interactive movies where you can change what happens.
Okay, that's just cool. I would totally watch a movie where I could choose what happens.
Sure.
And it makes you think, what will people want to do virtually and what will they still want to do in real life?
Exactly. It always goes back to that balance, you know? How do we use all this amazing tech in a way that makes our lives better without losing that human connection, the real world experiences?
It's like tech is making us think about the big questions, right? About what it even means to be human, what we care about, how we connect to each other and the whole world. It's exciting, but also kind of overwhelming.
Oh,
But hey, before we get too deep here, let's loop back to sustainability. Remember how the report was pretty hopeful about that?